Hello dear viewers, it's George from Ireland. Here I am in Mstkheta, I hope I pronounced it correctly, in Georgia, town of 6,000 people, and there is the Cathedral of the Apostles. You see with the conical roof in typical Georgian style, and that is built in the 4th century AD, if I got that right, shortly after Bagration, founded the Bagration dynasty, which lasted about 1800, and there are many kings of Georgia who are buried in there, including the guy who founded Tbilisi meaning hot water in the Georgian language because of the thermal springs. It's a very well preserved place. It's a World Heritage Site. You can see lots of tourists here on a tour bus, the others from Russia and Azerbaijan. I was introduced as the foreigner, but they're all foreigners here, but okay, they're from the former Soviet Union, it's all in Russian. Quite a few Indian tourists, but not on our tour group. And you can see right up behind me here, atop that hill, that's the old monastery I was at earlier on. Anyway, I've got to go back because the tour bus is going back to Tbilisi. It's only about half an hour drive, but the hills are very brown and fairly bare, and there are all these rocks that break the soil. So this church here, it was built first of all in wood, that was rebuilt a century later in stone. That largely collapsed. The columns are original inside though. Most of it is the second stone church you can see. And so yeah, the monarchs are saying they're buried under the floor. And their images of the 12 apostles. There's some frescoes, but very few of the original frescoes survive. There's a throne there for the Catholicos, a patriarch who's ever presiding over some major religious festival. You see the cobblestones survive. Yeah, what else should I say? So it's very characterful and different. And it's you can see obviously some priests going around there. There used to be a monastery in the corner. It's built like a fortress with a wall around it. Arabs invaded at one time. They're fighting their neighbours, the Persians, obviously Russia eventually from the late 18th century, which conquered them. So yeah, it's kept in a quite good condition, and you can wander around. There's some magnificent religious art. So there's this heady aroma of those wax candles that people are burning there, and there are plenty of Orthodox icons of the Blessed Virgin Mary, of the infant Jesus, or Jesus Christ when he's a grown man, the 12 apostles, various saints. Anyway, there was a Jewish community here, so they fled here shortly after the time of Jesus Christ. But then, you know, they heard this story about Jesus Christ being the Son of God. They sent some emissaries back to Jerusalem to check was that true. Anyway, this was actually part of the Roman Empire, Georgia, and there's a bridge that was built under the time of Pompeii across a river, but that original bridge doesn't survive. But what else? So part of Georgia on the Black Sea was known as Colchis by the ancient Greeks, but the Greeks used to call these people Georgiae, as in tillers of soil, so arable farmers, as in they weren't sailors, and that's the name stuck. That's why we call it Georgians. But they call themselves Sakartvelo, as in they're going to be descendants of Sakar, because Vili is child in their language, which is why lots of surnames end in Vili here, as in Jugashvili, the real surname of Stalin. So look at that, a lot of wooden houses, balconies, very alluring, very individual. So I like the way things are a little bit different, a bit of human scale around here. What else can I say? So I just enjoyed some of their cuisine. So they're renowned throughout the quantum Soviet Union for their magnificent cooking with all sorts of herbs and berries, spices, nuts and stuff like that. Their cheeses, their wine. We think, where do they get all the food from? Because the soil is not so fruitful. You look at this the stony soil that is most of their country. And thinking about these monks, well, I mean, food. How do you get food? Okay, you can graze some cows or sheep, something like that, but you can't grow a lot of provender here. It's not for anything good for anything leguminous. And there are vineyards. They can cultivate grapes. There are quite a few wineries around there, so they're famous for that. Anything else you might want to know? Well, you can buy yourself some Georgian souvenirs. Plenty of kitsch, these incredibly woolly hats. See them in Azerbaijan, seems more like a peruke than a hat. And this is the river. There was a bit of a hydro project we saw. That's the river behind me, for hydroelectricity. It wasn't a very large dam. What else can I say? Was, yeah, very different. Obviously, there are lots of places I could have visited, but this one's the nearest one to Tbilisi, and I didn't feel like spending a very long time on the bus. And here indeed is our minibus. I mean, I'm not sure we have something else to visit before going back to Tbilisi. So he's a very well-informed guide. He's a Georgian, Timur, who spent a long time in Russia and speaks flawless Russian, so I'm told, which is even better than me. Well, that's not hard to be better than me at that language. And then you can see some snow-capped peaks in the distance, well behind the Cathedral of the 12 Apostles. Okay, so this will give you more of an idea what the river's like. So there it is, quietly flowing. And it's been quite rainy, but I don't think it's burst its banks. And there are plenty of wild dogs. It's the only place in Europe, and we're the very eastern edge of Europe, that I see dogs that are free in urban areas, you know, without owners, unless apart from Romania. But they don't seem to be quite so aggressive, having their ears tagged with yellow tags to show that supposedly they've been sterilised. Yeah, walking into shops and cafes, into metro stations to keep warm and stuff like that, not bothering people over much. Yeah, so that's the main street I came down, some of the tourists who are coming back to the tour bus. So yeah, Georgia, quite recommended. No, it's not as ridiculously cheap as it used to be. You know, when I first came here in 2012, things were about a tenth of the cost, well, there would be an island, but now it's like, you know, a quarter. So yeah, I'm glad I've got out of the capital just a little bit. And look at this wayside shrine to Our Lady and the infant Jesus. And then look, there's St. George slaying the dragon. And you can purchase a candle and light it in memory of whoever, or indeed to bestow blessings on someone. There are a few monks and nuns going around there, and we got, you know, the guide told us a bit about the various kings and queens buried under the floor, Heraklion and so forth. Yeah, that Bagration. I always hear it's Bagration, as in that Georgian princeling who was a Russian military commander, killed in the Battle of Borodina. And then in the Second World War, Bagration, that military operation in 1944, because I honestly thought it was going rationing bags when I was 11 when I first read about it. So here I'm using my selfie stick. It's about time to get into the minibus, everyone's back, and someone's trying to sell us a few souvenirs. I don't think I'll be taking them. Well, so please watch my channel. What do you think? Are you coming along to Georgia? We're all getting in. I'm desperate to make it to 8 minutes so I can monetize the video, you see. So how can I fill it in about the Republic of Georgia and why many people? Yeah, they changed their flag in the noughties from the old one that they got just after independence. So they had the first Georgian Republic, 1918 to 1930 to 1921, and the Soviet Union invaded and made them the Soviet Socialist Federal Republic of Georgia, and then became independent in 1991. Of course, some people were still alive 70 years later who may remember the first one. The nationalism was said to be really bad, wanting independence or indeed real autonomy. And obviously Russian was the prestige language for a very long time, but it doesn't have any official status now. They're not even there to be signs up in it until we vandalised they were. So we're really trying to switch over to English as the world language. It's the main one they're going to learn in schools as a foreign tongue. Okay, goodbye everybody. Toodaloo.